The president has previously left the door open to military intervention when discussing the prospect of taking over Greenland. However, recent rhetoric has shifted toward encouraging Greenland's people to vote for independence. When asked whether this marks a change in approach, the response was clear: the administration maintains its stance. The president firmly believes that Greenland is crucial to the security of not just the United States but also the world. While he does not currently foresee the need for military action, he insists that a stronger partnership between Greenland and the US would bolster security and improve economic conditions for Greenlanders. The administration argues that Denmark has failed to ensure the territory's safety, leaving it vulnerable to threats from nations like China and Russia. According to officials, the US has no choice but to assert a stronger presence in Greenland to protect both its own interests and those of the Greenlandic people. This stance has sparked significant controversy, with critics pointing out the alarming implications of a US vice president, flanked by military personnel, discussing the potential takeover of a sovereign territory. Given the economic turmoil, rising costs, and declining consumer confidence in the US, many question whether such aggressive foreign policy moves should be a priority. Senator Mark Kelly responded by cautioning against alienating allies, emphasizing that global security is strengthened through partnerships rather than threats. He warned that rhetoric suggesting military intervention, whether explicitly stated or merely implied, could erode trust among US allies. The core concern remains: does America want to be seen as a nation that seizes territory through force, or one that collaborates with other democracies to ensure collective safety? J.D. Vance, echoing the administration's position, blamed Denmark for Greenland's supposed security vulnerabilities and justified increased American intervention. Critics, however, argue that such claims serve as a smokescreen for expansionist ambitions. They also highlight the irony of positioning the Trump administration as a counterweight to Russian influence, given Trump's history of accommodating Vladimir Putin's interests. Skeptics question whether Trump's leadership would genuinely safeguard Greenland from geopolitical threats or simply serve his own political and personal aspirations. Political commentator Jamie Raskin put it bluntly, accusing the administration of turning allies into enemies while fostering relationships with adversarial nations. He pointed to economic instability and mass government job cuts under Trump as evidence of reckless governance. According to Raskin, if Vladimir Putin himself had crafted a strategy to weaken America, he could not have executed it more effectively than Trump has. J.D. Vance's unwavering loyalty to Trump further fuels skepticism. His assertion that "we can't just ignore the president's desires" raises concerns about prioritizing Trump's personal ambitions over democratic principles. Critics argue that such blind allegiance undermines the very values the US claims to uphold. For the people of Greenland, Panama, Canada, and any other country in Trump's crosshairs, many Americans emphasize that the views of their government do not necessarily reflect those of the broader public. Trump's unpopularity is growing domestically, and many citizens oppose his aggressive foreign policies. They urge international allies to recognize that the fight against Trumpism is both an internal and global struggle. As for American voters, especially Republicans and independents, the question remains: is this what they signed up for? Trump campaigned on promises to lower costs and alleviate economic burdens, yet under his leadership, markets are crashing, living expenses are soaring, and rather than addressing these concerns, he is fixated on acquiring foreign territories. His priorities, critics argue, are not about improving the lives of everyday Americans but about bolstering his own legacy at their expense. Ultimately, those disillusioned by these policies must consider their future votes carefully. The administration's actions demonstrate a willingness to betray the trust of its supporters, raising the question: should they be rewarded with another term in power?